where we are talking about all things Mod Podge Photo Transfer. So this is a great little kit. It's got an application tool and the product in the kit, and you can order this kit from walmart.com, and my good friend Jake will put the link to the kit in the chat for you so that you can order this if you want to. And it is a great product to, as it says, transfer photos to different surfaces. So I'm going to show you, this is one little image that I put on a piece of wood. So you can use this on wood, you can also use it on tin, you can use it on glass, you can use it on ceramics, all different sorts of surfaces that you want to put an image on. And it also works beautifully on fabric. So I'm going to take you through all the steps on how to actually transfer your image, and I'm going to give you as many pro tips along the way as I can. All right, so the first thing is this is a 2-ounce bottle of Mod Podge Photo Transfer, and a foam brush is what's included in this kit. So I'm going to remove the product and the sponge applicator from the kit. And you may want to hang on to your kit because on the back are step-by-step instructions to help you remember exactly what to do with your kit. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to mention a couple of other tools and things that you may want to have handy. A hotel key card or an old credit card or something like this is quite helpful when you are doing your photo transfer. And you will need probably a good pair of scissors to cut out your design. So here is the first pro tip of the day. So you will want to use a laser copy to transfer to your item. So if you are working on a computer, you can resize the image to whatever size you want. Make sure that it's going to fit well on your item that you want to transfer your design onto. Pro tip number 2. So first pro tip was laser copy. That's what you want. Inkjet is not going to give you the best results. All right, then if you by chance have some words on your image or a logo or something like that that you want to read correctly on your finished project, you will need to flip, reverse, or do a mirror image of your image. So my pumpkin that I'm doing, it's going to be opposite when I transfer it onto my little zippered pouch here. So if I wanted my stem to go this way when it's all done, I would need to have a mirror image of that so that it transfers like that. So pro tip number 1, laser copy. Pro tip number 2, mirror image if you want your words or any sort of identifying mark to be right reading when you are done. If it's just a picture of flowers and you don't care if it's flowers to the left or flowers to the right, then you don't need to worry about changing any of that. Then you want to get rid of anything that you don't want transferred to your finished item. So I don't want all of this mess around the bottom of my pumpkin to transfer. So I'm going to use my little scissors here, and I'm going to cut out my design very neatly and carefully. And you can do this with any image that you're transferring. So if you are doing a picture of your kids and there is some, weird stuff in the background, because there's always weird stuff in the background of a kid's photo, you can simply trim that out, and you can trim it out either with a computer program, or like I just did, you can trim it out with your scissors. All right, so we've trimmed our design, and whatever you have here on your finished image is what's going to transfer to your project. So if you are doing a picture of something and it's got a white border around it, and you leave that white border, you're going to have the white border on your finished project. If you don't want the border, trim everything to size. Okay, so I'm going to open up my Mod Podge Photo Transfer, and I'm going to take out the little seal on my bottle here, and I'm going to just trim this out with some scissors because it's sometimes easier to get into it that way. All right, one thing that you will notice is that the Mod Podge Photo Transfer medium is very, very thick. So, and it's also very, very white. So I'm going to squirt some of this out onto my palette here, or whatever surface you're working on. You could use a piece of wax paper, which is good, or a piece of freezer paper. You want some non-stick surface to work on. So this is very, very thick. So don't add any water to it. Don't add anything to it. Just pick some up on your foam applicator, and I'm going to begin to coat the front of my object. So pro tip number 3, coat your object image side up. Don't put it on the back. If you go to put it on the back, you're going to be terribly sorry because you will transfer a piece of white paper to your surface. All right, so I'm putting this on pretty thick. I do not want to see my image through the transfer medium.
Hey Andy, we got a question from Claire. She said she missed the start. Could you go over again what kind of printer you use to make those images?
Yes, we're using any kind of laser printer that you want to use. All right, so let me bring everybody up to speed with what we've done so far and give you all the pro tips. So, pro tip number 1, use a laser copier. Pro tip number 2, you are going to trim out anything that you do not want transferred to your final project. Pro tip number 3, you want to make sure that if you have words that are on your image or any sort of recognizable logo that you want to be reading when you are finished with your project, you need to do a reverse image or mirror image of your item. Then you put your Mod Podge Photo Transfer on the printed side, and you don't want to see your image through the transfer medium. So nice thick application, and then you're going to pick that up as neatly as you can, and then we are going to put it on our surface. It's best if you crease it in the middle, or not crease it, but wrinkle it or fold it in the center so that you get no air bubbles. So position it where you want it on your project, press it down in the center, and then with light pressure, smooth it out so that you do not get air bubbles in your application here. All right, now, a couple of more pro tips. Try to keep your hands clean. My hands now have photo transfer medium on there, so I'm just going to dip my fingers in water and basically get rid of any of that that's on my hands. Clean hands are a crafter's best friend. So now I am going to take, you could use all sorts of different things for this. And let me show you another pro tip here. I'm using a piece of wax-coated palette. You could easily use a piece of waxed paper or freezer paper or anything like that. And I'm going to lay that over my project surface. And then I'm going to use my key card and very gently, beginning at the center and kind of using this as a squeegee, go out to the edges. I just want to make sure that my item is completely in contact with the project surface. You don't need to really press this down to try to squeeze out any excess medium that's on there. Just a nice light pressure to make sure that the whole of your image is in complete contact with the surface. All right, so that's down and good enough. If you get some that does scoot out from the edge, another pro tip for you, have some very clean water and a bristle brush that you can dip into the water and clean up any of that excess photo medium that might have scooted out from underneath your image. You don't want any excess left on your finished project. All right, so all of our hard work has been done. So at this point, my image that's being transferred to the surface is in complete contact with this, and now I can put this to bed and I can wait 24 hours. So if you're doing this in the middle of the day, leave it overnight and come back to it the middle of the next day, and we will begin to remove the paper and leave our image on the surface. So, of course, you are expecting what's coming up next. I have one that's already in process. So this is the same little pumpkin design, and I've started to remove the paper. The best way to do that is to use a cellulose sponge. This is the kind of sponge that gets hard when it's dry. So you're going to dip your sponge into water, squeeze out the excess. You don't need a lot of water, and you're going to dampen your image. Just blot, blot, blot. And you can see that this pumpkin is showing up much better, but we have some work ahead of us. So using your crafter's best tool, which is your finger, you are going to begin to rub, and some people have their own idiosyncrasies about how they remove this paper, but it's going to be kind of pulpy, and I like to start kind of in a circular motion and just move across the surface. And I think if Jake can zoom in on this a little bit, you could see that the paper is pulping up and just forming these, these little wads of paper, like spitballs, as it were. So you're going to get a lot of those, and you just need to brush them off, get them out of your way. To do that over a trash can would probably be the best option. And then you come back to this and you keep rubbing. Rub, rub, rub. Now, you may be tempted, like so many people who do this their first time, they are very tempted to get in here and just rub this like there is no tomorrow, like you are trying to get a genie out of a bottle. And you don't need to do that. You're going to have to do this in stages, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But do not be tempted to try to use something abrasive. Like I have tried, unsuccessfully, to use like a green scrubby pad just to really get that paper off. And what happens is you end up tearing up your image transfer. So your finger is the best tool to use. And again, you just rub this. I've not re-wet it more than that first time. And you just keep rubbing. And then at some point, you're just not going to rub any more off. So take a minute, let this just kind of sit by itself. And what will happen is, as this dries, you will see that it is going to begin to form a little bit of a haze wherever there is any paper left on the image transfer. So we, of course, are not going to wait long enough for that to happen here. But let me see if I can bring this up for a super close-up. So you can see down here at the bottom, there's starting to be a little bit of a haze that's showing up down there. So what that tells me is that my work is not done. I need to dampen my image again, just with plain water, and then using my index finger, begin to rub, rub, rub lightly, and you will see that there's going to be a lot less paper kind of pilling up here than there was when we started. That's because we've rubbed a lot of the paper away, just leaving our image on the surface. And you may think, oh, I got it all this time. Well, I wish I could tell you that you did, but experience lets me know that you have not done that yet. And so you probably need to let this dry again and maybe repeat this step 3 or 4 or more times. The more that you rub very gently and neatly and carefully, you will get all of that hazy paper off the surface, and you will be left with a beautiful image left on the surface. If you try to hurry this, you will peel up or damage your image transfer, and you will not be happy. Also, let me give you another pro tip. When you are making sure that your image is completely in contact, if there is an air bubble under here and everything is not in contact, when you rub your paper off, all of that will come up and you'll have a vacant spot, and you will be unhappy with that. So make sure that you cover your image completely with a nice, generous coat of the Mod Podge image transfer medium. Best rule of thumb there is you should not be able to see your image through the medium. Put it on, make sure that it's in full contact, leave it overnight. This kind of project is an ideal project for someone like me who has the patience of a saint, who can wait overnight for things to dry, and I'm not trying to hurry anything along. But then just keep making sure that you really rub all of the paper off so that you don't have any of that white haze left. And then you've got a super cute little Halloween tote. You could give these as gifts for friends at a party filled with, not just regular trick-or-treat candy, but this could have the extra special trick-or-treat candy in it. And you could write some great little message on there about trick-or-treating or Halloween, or you're my favorite ghoul, or I love my goblin, have some candy. So you can personalize these things, and this image won't come off once it's all there, dried, and you've rubbed all of the paper off. You end up with a super cute little project, and you could repeat the same image. So here's a piece of paper that's come out of the copier there, where I put multiple images on there. So I could make 10, 20, 30 of these for gifts, all using the exact same image. So repeating your image is not a problem. One of my favorite things to do, and I'm going to just move some stuff out of the way, is this is the kind of gift that gets oohs, ahs, and raves. And if you have your own very special, precious angel baby animal, a pet, you can use your favorite photo of your pet and transfer that onto an object, whether it's a tote bag, it could be a backpack, it could be a plaque for someone, but no one does not love their own pet on a project. So this is my sweet baby angel, Clarice, and she's a darling little Saint Bernard.
Little.
Yes,
Little,
she's
in quotes.
little in quotes. So she now has a bag suitable to hold her cookies, her treats. So she will now equate this bag with her treat bag. But it's fun, and people love their pet portraits transferred on any kind of surface you can imagine.
I was going to say, kind of piggybacking off of that, what other kinds of surfaces would this work well on besides, the canvas and the tote bags and that kind of
Yes.
stuff?
Well, one of the most popular things to put photos on are what we call wood cookies. They're the little sliced tree branches and things
Yep.
like that. So you could, of course, put your adorable pet picture on a wood cookie and give that to someone, and they could put it on a little easel somewhere as a photo. You could transfer it onto like a galvanized bucket. You could put it on just
Make
about
some coasters, maybe?
Yeah, any kind of surface that you can think of that you would want to put something on, you can.
Very cool.
I think if your surface is a little bit smooth, that's going to be better for you. You don't want a very heavily
Textured surface or anything?
textured.
Yeah.
I mean, the canvas totes is easy enough to transfer on, but you don't want something that's got a lot of ridges and valleys in it, because that's just harder to get your
full
image
contact and
in full
everything.
contact to do
Yeah.
that with.
Very
It'll
cool.
work on there, but it's so much harder for you. But the wood cookies, tote bags, those are some of the best projects that people always love. So you can, again, use any image that you want to. Make sure that you do a laser printout of it, and that will give you the best results. Some people try with an inkjet printer, and usually an inkjet printer simply does not give you the great results. But I want to make sure that Jake has put the link to the Mod Podge Photo Transfer Kit in the comment section, because that's where you can go to order this at walmart.com. And it is a great thing. You can do this with your kids. If your kids have, their favorite picture of their friends, or maybe all of their, a group shot of all of them together, You can do this for each one of your kids' friends. They would love that. You can do it with your kids. Your kids can help do this stuff. When it comes to rubbing this off, they can, at least help with the initial removing of the first layer of paper is always the most dramatic, and the kids always like to watch that happen. But this product has been around for a long time, and its popularity never seems to go away. People love putting pictures on things. It's great to personalize. You could come back if you wanted to. You could stencil on top of this using Folk Art multi-surface acrylic paint. You could stencil your pet's name on there, or you could stencil "Good Dog," or whatever you wanted to put on there. This you could stencil on there. You could do some hand painting on it. You can personalize it however you want to. And these things make great gifts. So here's just a little sampling of things that you can do with the Mod Podge Photo Transfer Kit. And if you want to clean up your foam brush, this is water soluble, so you clean it up with soap and water while your tool is wet, and you won't have any reason that you can't reuse this tool over and over and over again. I can also let you know that the Mod Podge Photo Transfer comes in a number of sizes. So if you're planning on doing a lot of this, you can go ahead and pick up an 8-ounce bottle of that and do a lot more of your photo transfer projects. So unless we have any other questions, Jake, do we?
Nope, everyone just seems to be enjoying what they got going on. Crafting Rose says, great demo, thanks for sharing. Wendy says, love Clarice. Everybody loves a good sweetheart.
Yes, and she's my special, precious angel baby, but everybody has their own.
Exactly.
And that's
now you can transfer their photos on anything that you want.
That's what's great about this is you don't have to use any preset image. It's whatever image you want to use, so you are in complete control of the image and what you transfer it on.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay, so I think that's going to wrap up our live